certain future, and they now face deportation, and some of them live right here in the Twin Cities. And Melissa, Colorado, sat down with a family in Brooklyn Park who are now again facing that uncertain future. Melissa.
And with that uncertainty brings so much stress for this family. The Martinez family has called Minnesota home for more than 10 years. Meet parents Roberto and Mirna and their 3 children. The only member not facing deportation is the youngest. He's just 10 years old. He was born here. The family is facing a tough dilemma. Do they prepare for a new life in El Salvador, a country in Central America plagued by violence and instability, or do they stay and face the threat of deportation? Roberto crossed the border illegally in 2000 in the hopes of supporting his family back home in El Salvador. His wife and 2 children joined him years later after El Salvador suffered a devastating earthquake. Gang violence is so rampant there, the country's capital has been named the murder capital of the world. Over the years, the family has built a life in Brooklyn Park. Thanks to the TPS program, Roberto works full-time and is a homeowner. His 2 eldest kids, both undocumented, are in high school with hopes of going to college. But all that could end. The Trump administration has announced Salvadorians are no longer protected under the TPS program, and they must leave the country by February of next year.
I actually would feel scared and sad in a way because over there, me being at this age that I am, I could get set up to be in the gangs.
I want to stay, no matter what. I want to stay.
And both teens have applied for protection status under the DACA program, the same program the Trump administration has decided to end. Miss Ayel was denied. Gabriella's status is on hold. Now, I asked the family if they had a chance to talk to President Trump, what would they say to him? You'll hear their answer next at 6:30. Guys.
Melissa, Colorado, speaking with the Martinez family from Brooklyn Park, and she has more on that. MC.
Good morning, guys. This is the Martinez family. You can see them right there, a family of 5. They've called Minnesota home for close to a decade. Everyone in this photo faces deportation except for one family member, their 10-year-old son, who was born here. He is a citizen. The family, like countless others, are facing the following dilemma: stay here and face deportation, or move back and face an uncertain future in El Salvador. The father, Roberto, crossed the border illegally back in 2000 in the hopes of supporting his family back home. His wife and 2 children joined him years later after El Salvador suffered a string of devastating earthquakes. El Salvador is so dangerous, the State Department is warning Americans from visiting the country in Central America because murder and gang violence is just so common. Over the years, the family has built a life in Brooklyn Park. Thanks to the TPS program, Roberto works full-time and is a homeowner. His 2 eldest children, both undocumented, are in high school with hopes of going to college. But all that could come to an end. The Trump administration has announced that Salvadorians are no longer protected under the TPS program, and they must leave by February of next year. I asked the family if they could say something to President Trump. What would it be?
He has to start thinking about the families more than about himself. That making America great again, that's not possible if there's no love.
I pay taxes, I pay my mortgage, I pay everything. I want to stay, no matter what. I want to stay.
And Roberto went on to say he fears for the safety of his family if they are forced to return to El Salvador. The family is hopeful that someone in power, someone in Washington, D.C., will consider their situation. Meanwhile, Canada is prepared to see an influx of Salvadoran immigrants from the U.S. Their message to them: if you do not qualify for refugee or asylum status, don't try to cross into Canada. You could be sent back, not to the U.S., but back to El Salvador. Tim?